And we have today Bill Slevin. He is the founder and lead paranormal investigator of the Paranormal Existence Research Society.
That's so cool. I'm very excited.
So cool. Bill has also been seen on a TV show called Destination America, Ghost Asylum. We got a big time guest here today, Aim.
That's fun. That's what we gotta love that.
Very cool. He is certified in paranormal investigation, UFO investigation, cryptozoology. We'll have to find out what that means.
I think it has something to do with, I'm just guessing.
Okay.
Here. It's not a psychic thing. I'm going with something with animals.
Animals. Aim, you're brilliant. And parapsychology. Bill is also studying demonology, which is a course that will help teach other paranormal investigators how to identify and deal with possible demons during an investigation.
Okay,
cool.
That's great. I research this stuff all the time, so it's very exciting to me. And I'm
cool.
So looking forward to it.
Me too. Let's get them on. Okay. Hi, Bill. Thank you for coming today.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Hi, Bill.
We're thrilled. So I guess just to start, can you tell us how you got into this field, the paranormal field?
Well, it's funny. I mean, when I was a kid, I was always into horror, paranormal, anything like that. Like even I always tell everybody, even in my town, I grew up in New Jersey and I lived in Fort Lee, and everybody has their little like haunted house on their block that everybody was scared of. You know, all the kids running from the house. I was trying to get in the house. You know, I always.
That's just the witch lived there.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's what it is though. It's like I wanted to know more. I just, it always like kind of drew me, and I had my own experiences that I wanted to learn more about. I've been doing this for just over 30 years now. I'm happy that I started a long time ago, because when I started, we didn't have all the equipment and everything that we have now. It wasn't out in all the TV shows, and it was a lot different. Although I do love the equipment. I'm an IT guy, so I have every piece of equipment possible. I just don't use it all for like residentials. My team is called the Paranormal Existence Research Society. We're based in Coral Springs, Florida, but we do cover all of Florida. We'll even come out of Florida if you really need us. And I handpicked my team. I'm very, very picky with my team. It's not about how much experience you have and what you know. It's more of your passion and your personality, because we're really big on doing residentials to help people. And for me, I could teach you how to investigate, but I can't teach you how to be, you know, compassionate to the clients. To me, that's what the most important part, because when we go into somebody's house, they're frightened, you know, whether it is paranormal or it's not. You know, most of the time we hope it's not. I'd rather go in and tell them that, you know, it's something else, because, you know, they're scared. We're a nonprofit. Everything is volunteer. We don't charge for any of our services. You know, and like I said, the team is very specific. I actually have one girl on my team that I met a few years back. She wanted to be on the team, but she only lives here about a month a year. So when she's here, she works with us, but she lives usually between Italy and Greece, and she started a branch of our team out there. So she works a little bit out there. Yeah, she's in London right now, and I don't know if she's working on anything there too, but she travels a lot. So, you know, when she's here, she works with us.
Well, with COVID, did that affect your being able to go out there?
Yeah, it's different. You know, it did affect us a bit. We did break the regulations a little bit and went out a couple times on emergencies that I felt were emergencies. You know, we went as protected as we could. But it's hard but what we do is we get the people on the phone. We talk to them. We tell them things that they can do, can try, until we're able to get there. So we were very involved, and there was a lot of calls. We've been getting a lot of calls. I mean,
Phil, can I sorry to interrupt. Well, two things, just to clarify for the audience, because I really didn't know what you did until I read about you.
Sure.
People call you, you want to explain how it all works? And
Sure.
what's an emergency?
Right. We do.
Exactly.
Yeah, we do a couple different things. I mean, we do public investigations and we do conventions and we educate people, but the residential part is what we're really about. And people could contact us if they have anything they're experiencing. If they believe they're haunted, they have a ghost, they have aliens even. We don't get a lot of them, but we do know a bit about them. So they contact us. They could either go through the website or call us, and there's an investigation request form. It's just a lot of questions because we like a lot of details. And then we'll contact them. It'll either be me or one of my teammates, and they'll contact them and just find out what's going on and we'll try to, make an assumption of what we think it is or what it might be and see what the severity of it is. There's different things. I mean, a lot of people have stuff in their house that doesn't bother them. And although you don't want it there, at least we could tell them it's not going to harm you. It's not going to do anything. We'll get there as soon as we can. And when we go to the house the first time, we're kind of like counselors. I mean, we go in and I'll sit with them for 2-3 hours, and just talk to them to find out everything that's going on and reassure them how we could help. And then we'll make an assessment. If it's just something basic that I think we could come in and just cleanse the house, that's what we'll do. A lot of times we don't need like what you see on TV, the full-blown 5-hour investigation overnight, only because you only need that if you're really trying to find out what it is. A lot of times you don't need to know what it is, just get it out.
I agree.
Yeah, because trying to find out, the problem with that is we sit there for 5 hours, we come home, and now it'll take me a month and a half to go through the footage, because we're going to have 7 cameras, recording device, audio devices, everything. And you have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb to try to find anything you can. And then it's just having these people sitting in there in fear for the next 2 months. So most of the time we'll just cleanse it. And I have a whole kit I use, depending on what it is. I use sage, I use Palo Santo, I have holy water, I use a singing bowl because very big into the whole energy part of it. We use crystals. I have protection spray. I have blessed oil. All my holy water and all our protection and everything comes from a guy. His name is Bishop Long. He's a bishop in the Old Catholic Church, and he's done 30 documented exorcisms. So he knows what he's doing, and everything I get is blessed from him.
Does it matter what religion you are?
No, it doesn't really. I mean, for me, I have everybody on my team. I have an atheist. I have Jewish. I have, just about everything. It's really not about that. It's what you believe in. For
Exactly.
me, I was raised Catholic, so that's what I go by. Even our blessings, when I go into a house and anything I use is Catholic, but it doesn't mean that the person in the house has to be Catholic. It helps if they have some kind of religion, so that they can kind of just use their faith a little bit for things. But if they don't, that's why, like, we used to give people once in a while, like a little cross or something blessed from somebody. But then I started saying, a lot of people, they're not very religious. So that's why I started using crystals. So every client I go to, we give them protection crystals to keep in their rooms, to keep in stuff. And that's better for everybody, no matter what you believe in.
And what's an emergency?
Okay, an emergency, I could give you a little example. Unfortunately, with residentials, I can't talk too much about it because they're all confidential. But like, we had a lady during quarantine that she was having a lot of, she wasn't sure if there were night terrors. She was saying she was getting attacked at night, and she's had this for years and years and years. And she said it was getting worse and worse. And she also talked about that she used to do Santeria, which is a very, very dangerous voodoo. Yeah. And we talked with her for a while, and she was pretty calm. And then she called my other teammate, Daniela, who was dealing with her a lot. And she was just frantic. And she was just, she was so afraid in her house, and afraid. That's what we decided, we got to go over there. I don't think it was anything harming her, but it was affecting her mental health because she wasn't sleeping.
Wow.
She said she hasn't slept well in almost 30 years, but now it's just getting worse and
I would
worse.
have moved.
Well, we went there. Yeah, but no, it's not the house. It was her.
It's not. Yes, exactly. I was just about to say that, because even they say all the time, in every research that I've ever done, that lots of times the people, even the people that have called you or called me, sometimes they've had problems from the past, like
Right.
they've been abused, or there is something that is still brewing, and
Sure.
they will like almost call the negative energy towards them.
Yes.
So that's an interesting factor to it. And sometimes they even have said, and when from my research, that they also, some people were like, I don't want the bad things to go because
Right.
they're my friends. These are what are giving me hope. These are things that are giving me attention. These are things that are giving me like what I need to have to, even if it's bad, they don't care.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And you know, some people, there's a lot of people that probably have stuff, don't call us because it doesn't bother them. I know people that it was protecting them. You know,
Yep.
there's all different types, but with her, she was really, whether it was good or bad or whatever it was in there, it was scaring her, and it was definitely affecting her mental health because she wasn't sleeping, you know, and she was scared to go to sleep, you know. So we went there and we wound up cleansing her and the house, and she still had the books on Santeria and everything. We cleansed the books and we did everything we could. And as far as I know, we had talked to her, and I stay in touch with everybody. We usually don't lose touch with them. And it was about 8-9 months later was the last time I had talked to her. And she's, you know, even from the first month, it was the first time she said she slept through the night in 30 years. So as
That's
far as
awesome.
we know, it hadn't come back at all. You know, I've only had a few places that have ever come back after I've cleansed them. Sometimes it can be residual, you know, it could be residual energy. It could be a residual haunting that doesn't push them out as much. And we've gone and done it once or twice, but it usually goes pretty good. The first thing we'll tell them, like when they're scared on the phone and we're talking to them, we're like, listen, you need to tell them you don't want them here.
Yes.
Crazy as it sounds, you know, don't yell at them, don't provoke them, you know,
It's
but
not crazy.
because we had that. I had one girl that was when I was cleansing, she was telling them to get out, and she started screaming, cursing at him, and saying, "Show yourself." Oh, no, 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 no. That's a little different. We don't.
No, no, no. Yeah. Yeah. But we do have the upper hand.
Yeah.
In our 3D bodies, we are able to do this, which is why, as a child, being afraid of doing these kinds of things
Mhm.
and seeing them, it helped to have my identical twin that would be able to say, oh, do you see that? Yeah, I see that. So you don't think you're totally crazy because we're both seeing it. But
Right.
also the fact that I learned over the years
Mhm.
that it was okay to tell the spirits, and 99.999% of
Yeah.
what I communicate with are good people, or the exact people that they were spirit wise here,
Right.
the same people.
Right.
But you're going to get some negativity. You're going to get some of those people that just want to show up and be there. So
Right.
that's where you would come in. So what kinds of equipment do you have?
Well, it depends on what we're doing. Like I said, in residential, I don't use as much equipment because a lot of it is great for public events, and you get a lot of stuff on it. But if I'm going into somebody's house and I'm trying to help somebody, I want to give them the best evidence I could give them. And some of that stuff is just, it's too easily debunked to,
Yes, I get it.
I can't, like I have the go-to thing is always an audio recorder. An audio recorder we cannot fake. You know, so we'll use burst recorders, just little old digital recorders where we'll say, you know,
Mhm.
anybody here, and then you let it record for 10 seconds, you stay quiet and you play it back. And when you get voices through there, you can't really debunk that as easy. You know, it's, you know, of course, video we always have, but that's the hardest to ever capture. I do use a lot of scientific devices. Like I have an EDI machine, which is, it judges, it measures temperature changes, humidity changes, vibrations, everything like that. So if we get something on the recorder and we see the temperature drop 20 degrees, you know,
That's a
then
good
we
one.
know something's real. I mean, I do use what's called a REM pod, which it creates an electromagnetic field around it, and you could tell the spirits to go to the box. And the closer they get to it, when they break the field, the lights go off. So it's just kind of a
Oh, I
little.
just got chills. I don't, I don't know about Amy, but I just got chills, so.
There are some like, these are some of my, I had them out because we did an investigation last week. This is a standard, just a regular video recorder that has, these are infrared lights that also do full spectrum. And this is just a regular audio device. So I use these, when we do a nighttime investigation, or if I'm talking to the people, I'll run it just to, make sure we record everything so we know what's going on. One of the biggest things, and again, it's a little different than some of the investigators. I work with a lot of teams, and there's some great teams down here, but some investigators, they go in with the notion everything is haunted. You can't do that. I go in, first thing I'm trying to do is find everything. I mean, I could tell you, I've done, I don't know, over 400 homes, and I can tell you things we found, animals in walls, things leaking in the wall that caused, there are so many different things. If you go in there right away thinking it's something, you're already going to have that in your head, and you can't. I also do use my intuition. I can walk through rooms and feel the energy and feel the emotions, and I'll know sometimes. Sometimes I'll tell them not to tell me where they had issues in the house so we could see if I could pick it up first. One of my other teammates is like that. But it really is about, like, I'm on a lot of groups on Facebook. They do drive me a little crazy. A lot of people post, and I go in there honestly to help people because they post
I understand.
ring videos or your pictures, photos with orbs and all kind of things. And the problem is 99% of that is nothing. And I go in and I'm not rude to anybody. I just tell them exactly. And I try to be as detailed as possible. I'll tell them what it is, why it is, how it got caused, and what to look for. But a lot of them won't accept it. They just
Right.
want it to be, most of them, it's because it's a loved one or something that they want to feel that is watching over them.
And there usually is.
Right.
The loved one watching you, but it could also be the fan has a problem, or there's an electrical circuit that's going on, but spirit loves to come through electrical
Sure.
circuits and things like that. Even if I have the ring and I see something, and my husband will look and he'll say, that's just a bug, right? I'm like,
right.
Stop. But how did the radio just turn on and your radio doesn't work? So there's certain things you have to first look at.
Sure.
As a possibility, and then you go to the next step, because
Right.
that makes sense.
Right. And no, exactly, because that's what I tell them when I see these pictures. I'll be the first one to tell them that's an interesting photo. I'd like to know more about the history of what happened. But I grabbed a couple of pieces of equipment so we could see. This is the EDI machine I was talking about. This will detect temperature changes, humidity, vibrations, all that. And it has its own little SD card, so you could graph it out by time. So like I said, if we pick up something, on audio or on video, we could try to see, because if you have a 20-degree temperature drop or something, it's a big difference. This is a REM pod. When you turn this on, it'll be hard because I have to touch it, but when you're not touching it, it's the closer you get to it is what makes it go off. So it's like a little device that I do use sometimes in the houses because it can pick up certain things. I have things like an ovulus. Now I like this when we're on public investigations. I don't use this in the house too much. Sometimes I will. You see these on the TV shows a lot. What it does is it will read energy and then spit words out onto, it's hard to see on here because it reflects.
I can see, yeah.
Words out onto here from the energy taken in. So sometimes it'll just spit out nothing, words for no reason, but sometimes they really match. Like I have one from last Friday. We were doing a private investigation in Flamingo Gardens down in Davie. And we walked into the house, the one house they have there. And the first thing that popped on the thing, it said Edison. And I have a picture of it. It says Edison. And then when you look in front of us, there was a record player that said Edison. I didn't even know there was an Edison record player, but it was right there. So, is it something? I don't know 100%, but it's pretty good when you got that right in front of you. That's not just some random word, So
yeah, I don't think anything's random or a coincidence. And I think that they do give specific things for us to see if they want to. It's a choice. So Yeah, and that's fascinating. I don't have any of these equipment. My equipment and Amy's equipment is completely different. It's
Yeah.
from within,
Mhm.
or
I have a
without,
little,
whatever.
I have a little bit with it. You know, and then a lot of it is,
Watch our show, you can get more.
yes. And a lot of it is experience of what I do. I also, I'm one of those people that I like to learn as much as possible. I read almost every book they have out there. Right now I'm enrolled in a course that I'm going to have, it's going to get me a PhD in parapsychology and metaphysical science. And I'm
Awesome.
also in
Sorry, I
course,
didn't even know that existed.
yeah,
No, I did. I
yeah,
think I'm in.
they're
I'm
accredited
in.
colleges, but they're not like, you know, your local university. They're metaphysical colleges, but they're real accredited colleges.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
also working on demonology. So that, and I'm writing my first book. I've never written a book before, but I'm writing two. I'm doing two at once. To teach people how to correctly ghost hunt if they want to, and the other one is how to correctly work and do residentials. And I'm not saying my way is the right way, but over my 30 years of experience, I pulled pieces from everybody I've worked with. I worked with teams all through New Jersey and Florida, you know, and I pulled out what I think are the right ways to do things. You know, everybody doesn't agree with me, but
Who has a boy band outside their house?
right.
Not that many people, but I'm not going to call you to come and deal with it because they were awesome. But I was fine with that. And then they left. But my husband, of course, is like, really, seriously, can you stop this? But sometimes he hears some of the things or he sees it, like the lights going and the fans going, and he just walks right in. I've been married 27 years. He's like, that's your mother? Who's that? So we know.
Right,
We
right.
almost know who is who and what's going on. So that's it. It's if it becomes a fear, then yeah, you have to call. And it's not anything, it doesn't always have to be something negative. It's something that you can help other people
Right.
to experience and learn more about. And I think science and what we do is combined.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
is the same thing. They just haven't quite gotten it together yet.
Exactly.
Let's do that.
Bill, can you tell us one of your favorite stories?
Favorite or worse? Worst stories.
Both. Give us
Both.
both.
Well, you know, it's funny when people do ask, I have a lot, you know, but I do tend to go back to one because I was very new to this. I mean, I read a lot on it and I studied as much as I could back then when it wasn't really out there on TV and everything. But this was one of my first residentials, and it wasn't with a team I was working with back then. This was in like 91, I think, and it was different. It was in New Jersey. You know, again, because it wasn't out in the mainstream, and the people were very quiet because they thought you would look at them like they were, you know, need to be in a mental asylum. And then if people heard you were, yeah, and if people heard you were going there to look for ghosts, they thought we should be in a mental asylum. This lady had something and they were going to investigate. So we walked in the front door and we didn't get past the front room. And the three of us ran out of the house. We were all nauseous. It was the most sickening feeling I have ever felt in my life. It was not like, you know, yes, I know there could be smells and we have to look for things like carbon monoxide, and because that stuff can also make people, you know, hallucinate and things. So you got to be careful. But this was not from a smell. It was not from anything like that. It was just strangest thing, and all three of us had it. So we kind of composed ourselves, went back in, and we went past the front door, went into the first room, and we're about to start getting set up. We already had everything off. We went in with the cameras. The guy next to me screamed like I never heard, threw his camera lens first down to the floor. We turned the lights on. He was ripping at his shirt. He pulled his shirt off, and he had 3 razor scratch marks from his neck all the way down to his spine. Right. I mean, the whole thing, 3 solid razor bleeding.
So physical.
Yeah.
He had a physical experience.
They say a lot of that is they're mocking the Holy Trinity when they do the 3. That's what the 3 marks are. But you know, you look at everything like nowadays, I would definitely look at this a little differently, because nowadays you have people that want fame, people that want to be out in the media, you know,
Yeah.
there was nothing back then. You didn't want to tell anybody about anything. So
I believe me, we know.
yeah, we immediately leave there because that's way above anything we want to deal with. They'll, you know, they obviously got in touch with somebody through the church that helped them or was helping them. But the point is, it's like that level, I've seen it. Nobody, you know, so I know people believe different things, but I saw it. There is nothing this guy could have gained from that. There is no way he could have done it to himself. It definitely was not there before we walked in because it was fresh, you know. He didn't talk to anybody. The family didn't talk to anybody, you know, nobody talked about it. It wasn't in the news, it wasn't anywhere. So there was nothing to gain from it. So to me, that was 100% real. I can, Bishop Long, the one I was talking about, he was doing a podcast on, I forget what he was talking about. He was talking about something, and they were talking about demons and stuff like this. They were talking about the 3 scratch marks. And this is, you know, 30 years later after this. He was saying the difference you could tell, because a lot of people, we get stuff, oh, I woke up, I have this bruise, I have this scratch, and you know, you did that to yourself.
I had fingerprints attached to my, like, fingerprints, like a
Right.
whole hand.
That was your husband.
He wasn't with me at the time because it was
Okay.
before I met him. So
But-
somebody else's husband, maybe, I don't know, but whatever.
But that's the thing. Some of it is absolutely real, but some of it we tell them, like, you could have scratched yourself. We can't
Right.
really judge much on it. But this, he said, the difference you could tell, and I never knew this, is he said a demon most of the time will leave a razor-like scratch, where it's not like a fingernail that's a wide scratch. It's literally like a razor, and that's what these were. And I didn't know for 30 years about that, you know.
Do you have a lot of people that maybe were skeptics, didn't believe in ghosts, and then they call you, this is happening to them? And
I've had people that didn't believe at all, and then when we were done, the way we did everything and what we showed them and how we cleansed it, and now nothing happened after that, they definitely changed their mind a bit. I don't know if they were 100% believers. Even at some of our shows, like libraries and conventions and everything, I always usually ask at the beginning, how many people, you know, believe, how many aren't, how many are complete skeptics. Because I want to see, you know, what we have out there. And I'm not here to change their mind, but I just show them what we do. And some of them, I have had some of them come up and definitely tell me that I opened their eyes and now they're interested, you know, because they didn't think it was possible.
wow.
Right. Do you
So-
find that there's more in older houses or castles? Like, I was not a couple of years ago, I was in Ireland and we stayed in a castle. Of course, I was very excited about that. Like, give me that. Like, I'm excited. But I don't know if there is more so that kind of experience because it's an older one, or if that has any effect on it.
It depends. I believe most of the time, yes, because of the history of it. If you have, you know, if that place has been around for hundreds of years, you have a lot more things that have happened in that location.
Yeah.
But if you have a person who maybe is very susceptible to bringing things in, you could be in a new house and they could bring in plenty of stuff that, you know, but definitely the older it is, normally it has more of a history and you will get more activity in it.
What about objects? Like, if you brought something from a piece of jewelry or a piece of furniture that came from hundreds of years ago and you brought it into your home. I have had people that have said, I felt like there was some negative energy, and I said, get rid of it. Just bye-bye.
Well,
Get rid of it.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's definitely it definitely can happen. I mean, it can attach to a house, to a location, to a person, or to an object. I've seen all three. But if you get, like, we had a client that was very big on getting old antiques, and the half of the house was really, really old antiques. I told them, I said, what you have to learn to do is, I gave them their own sage and I gave them a whole written thing of how to do it correctly, and just sage it when you come in. most of the time, unless it is something like very demonic, most of the time it will cleanse and it'll be fine. If you bring something home, I mean, if you look at, I don't know how much you know about the Warrens, they're the ones that were the biggest investigators ever. They're the ones from the movies, The Conjurings and all that. And they believed it was objects. So they used to take those objects from each place, and they had a museum in their house that they locked everything in to keep it away from everybody. Annabelle and all that. So that was all in there, and they had, protections, like prayers and stuff on them so that they took it to keep it away from harming people. But for the most part, you can cleanse most things, and especially if you're going to buy antiques. I mean, people love antiques, but just better to be careful. Even just to cleanse the energy on it. You're bringing in the house, cleanse the energy to balance your house.
Yeah, and the people that we bring in to our house as well, there's a feeling, you just know, you just have that feeling. When I talked about the castles in Ireland, it was just incredible to me. Some of the things that I was like waiting for it. I'm like, oh, well, where is it already? How come I haven't felt it yet? I feel like this was a past life thing.
Right.
So it was just, I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to interrupt. I'm in a castle that's been there for like hundreds of years.
Right.
How could I not find something? And my husband and my family that came with me were like, okay, we're just waiting for this.
Right.
So it just seemed like every hotel room we went to as we traveled around, my mother-in-law always got the good room with the good big bed, and we got the 2 separate beds. So my husband said, okay, we're getting the good bed this time. So I said, that's okay. I'm tired of traveling. I'm just going to sit here in this room and just kind of chill for a few minutes. And all I hear, and I'm going to say this as I will, are 2 people banging against the wall, heavy breathing, and obviously they're having sex. It was like, I don't know if it was their honeymoon or what was happening, but it was loud, and it was like banging against the wall. It's 5 in the evening. It's okay. It's PG. It's okay. And I was like, what? Are you serious? I mean, really? This is crazy. So my husband comes back, and I said, we can't stay in this room. So he goes, it's good, because my mother-in-law is switching rooms with us, so we're going to stay in the other room. I'm like, oh, terrific, great. But she can't stay here either, because there's people that are just like this. It might be their honeymoon. It's going to be loud. She's not going to be happy about this. He goes, this is the last room. There are no more rooms. And I came out of there, and I looked across. There were no more rooms. There was nothing. It was just the exit. So I was like, okay, I did not just hear, I know this was so, and I was like, okay, thank you. Thank you, I'm hearing it. Somebody was here.
When you're dead, is that what you're saying?
Or it could have been past, present, future, I'm not sure, whatever it was. God bless them.
God bless them. So Bill, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have a ghost, I believe, in one of my rooms in my house, and I haven't slept in that room in like 10 years. Is that possible that they stay in just one area?
Sure. A lot of it goes by a lot of what people believe. I believe that most spirits that are here are trapped here, or they don't know to move on. They're afraid to move on. They don't realize they're dead, along those lines. So that's why you get a lot of what we call residual hauntings, where maybe it was the person who, I don't know the history of your house. I don't know anything, but could have been somebody that was from that room before, or if the house wasn't there before, it could have been just that land at that time, and they're stuck in that area.
Okay.
It could just, maybe they don't wander out. They don't know. They're scared. They don't know. They'll stay in one area. It's absolutely possible. I've seen it before.
Interesting.
But again, if it hasn't harmed you, it's not gonna, because anything that will harm you is going to harm you right away. It's not going to stay there and just hang around.
Also, I don't want to keep you much longer, but can you tell us what cryptozoology, is that right?
Yeah. Cryptozoology, that's the study of like Bigfoot, the chupacabra, anything that is, you know, kind of animal-like, or anything that is not spirit, you know. You don't get a lot of that. Most of it is Bigfoot and chupacabra. Those are the two main, you know, like up in New Jersey, we had the Jersey Devil that lived in the Pine Barrens, the story behind that. That's
And
really,
there's the whole books on that. There's great books on this too.
yeah. There's one down here that I forget where they are. I think they're toward Miami somewhere. They hunt. It's called is it the swamp ape or something like that? It's a similar thing like Bigfoot. And they're all it's I forget what the exact name of it is, something like that. And there's a whole, I mean, they have like a whole office down South Miami somewhere that they research everything about this. Yeah.
How interesting. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more about that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
There's a lot of places.
And Bill, how about one more favorite story?
This was when I was actually in high school. I lived in Paramus, New Jersey, and I coached our high school ice hockey team. While I was a senior, I was the coach of our team. So we went in, and one of my friends lives in one of the oldest houses in Paramus, and she told me if we won the championships, we could have like a party at her house for the team. So we won, and we went and had a party at her house. The parents were away. And I will say this, I was not drinking. I was not doing anything else that night because I had to babysit people. So, you know, and it was kind of my party. Yeah, I had to, you know, be alert. So, yeah. So everybody, you know, everybody was there for a while. Everybody left, and it was late at night, and it was just me and like, I think there was three of us. We were just crashing in the girls' room who lived there. And I got up. I wasn't sleeping yet, so I wasn't like twilight. I wasn't half awake. I was totally awake. They were all out. So I got up and I went down the hallway to go to the bathroom. And I opened her door and I walked into the hallway. It's a long, long hallway. And I was frozen in my tracks, not scared. That's the thing with this stuff. I was never scared. But there was an image, a perfect apparition of an old man. He was pure white. He was wearing overalls. He had like a straw hat on, looked like a farmer. And he looked at me and he stared at me. For me, it felt like about 15, 20 minutes, probably about 30 seconds to a minute. He looked at me and then he just turned and he walked right through the door into the other room. So I kind of took a minute and I went back in the room and I woke up Linda, who lived there. And I said, listen, I said, are you sure nobody else is home? And she's like, no, my parents are away. I go, what about a grandfather or uncle? Nobody lives there because there's a big house. I said, you sure nobody lives in this house? She goes, no, what are you talking about? I go, are you sure there's nobody else in this house? She goes, oh, did you see the old guy in overalls? And I, you know, again, I had never heard about this from her before. I knew nothing about it. She knew nothing about what I just saw. And I looked at her like,
oh my God.
And she goes, he won't bother you. He protects us. And she told me, yeah, she continued to tell me a story that one night they used to see him from time to time and they were a little nervous. Her mother one time was woken up in the middle of the night. He was standing over her and he grabbed her by the arm and he pulled her off the bed. And she freaked out and then he disappeared. She heard a noise downstairs. So she called the cops because she didn't know what was going on. The cops showed up. Somebody was breaking into the house downstairs. So he woke up to let her know.
Oh.
These are the stories I heard after, you know. So it's not always bad, but then again,
no, it's mostly not bad.
Right.
Is what I try to tell people. It's mostly not bad. It's mostly not what they show in the movies where it's scary and horrible. It's mostly them protecting us, but it's there and we are seeing it, we are feeling it, and there is that same energy and frequency. And there are people that see it and some people that don't see anything at all.
Yep.
But
do you think he might have lived there before?
I never did the research on it.
Okay.
I should have. She said that they did a little bit and she believes it was somebody that lived on that property, but they never had 100% proof. Like they couldn't find any photos or anything, you know, like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So you know, again, it was an experience that nobody could tell me different, you know.
he was somehow attached to the house.
Exactly.
Wow.
Fascinating.
Well, Bill, thank you so much. I hope you'll come on again. I feel like we could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, right, Aim?
Exactly.
Yep.
That's why I said I love talking about it. So I'll come on anytime. I
We're
can
the
talk.
same
It's our
way.
favorite thing. It's our
Yep,
favorite thing.
Yep.
Exactly. Oh,
Wow.
I just wanted to say one more thing real quick. So we're trying to get all the confirmations, but right now, August 14th, we have a panel at MegaCon in Orlando, the big
Okay.
comic convention. October 1st to the 3rd in Orlando, we're doing Phantasm, which is a horror convention, and we may have 2, 3, or 4 panels going on there. We're going to do a whole bunch. They want us to do a whole bunch of different things there, and it's not 100% yet because the libraries here haven't gotten the okay to do the in-person events yet, but they believe they're going to have it soon, and we're going to be booked for October 30th at the Coral Springs Library.
That sounds like
I'll
fun.
talk more about that.
I'll be there.
Yeah, when
Sounds
when
like
it's
fun.
closer, I'll let you know.
And how can, if anyone listening needs your services, how can they get in touch with you?
They could go to our website, which is www.persfl.com or paranormalexistenceresearchsociety.com. It's a little long. Or you could contact us through, we have an 800 number. It's 844 and it's FL Ghosts.
Okay.
So that's the easiest way to get in touch with us. The website is the best because we do get a lot of calls and requests. So to go on there and fill out the form is the easiest way because it asks a lot of details, and we'll get it and we'll get back to you usually within a day or two.
Thank you so much.
Sure,
You're
thank you
really
for
just
having
amazing.
me.
We just really enjoyed having you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Aim, I can't wait for you and I to go to his office and we'll videotape all the cool equipment he has.
I
and
can't wait.
Go on a job
I'm
with
excited.
him and see if we can find the spirits before he does.
I'm
That'd be
ready.
fun. That would be fun.
It was
So-
great to have him on. It was
was
a
great.
pleasure.
So please, we would love you to subscribe to us on YouTube, Amy to the Second Power, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Sorry, long night.
Like us?
Yes, please do. Amy, you want to say your mantra so we can all relax?
Be open, expecting, accepting, and trusting. And then keep practicing. Go out there and practice.
Have to practice. Thanks, Amy. It was so fun.
It was.
See you
See you
soon.
next time.
All righty.